Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Welcome to another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Dude, have you ever had those days where you just eat too much and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just so miserable.
Have you seen me? Yeah, I've had plenty of those days. Yeah, but you did go a little wild in staff meeting.
I went nuts today with eating.
Yeah.
So
I did not, actually. I went back to Sam's for lunch 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
And Will got pizza and a pretzel, which I got a pizza and a hot dog yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'll switch it up. Because our concession stand at the Little League buys Sam's pretzels. And the ones at the Little League are fire.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah, I'll get a pretzel. Well, they don't deep fry them at Sam's. And
they bake them.
Yep, and they don't squirt butter all over them before they put the salt on them. And the cheese is drastically different than the nacho cheese at the concession stand.
Yeah.
So my lunch sucked. So I didn't eat very much. I only ate half the pretzel.
Yeah. I went to Panera Bread, and I had the chicken bacon ranch with mozzarella cheese.
That's a good
sandwich. I did a full bowl of chicken and rice soup.
Ugh.
I know you don't like rice.
If you see rice on a menu, I feel like you just go after it no matter.
I love rice, dude.
It could be flies and rice, and you're going, that sounds
give me
rice. Give me that rice, man.
It could just be rice, and I'd be super happy.
Gosh, Lord's sakes.
And then it also came with a bag of chips, and so I ate all that. And then on our way out, I went and had lunch with Megan since she serves on the worship team, and just catching up with her and stuff. She goes, "I'm gonna get some pastries for everybody in the staff meeting." I was like, "You knock yourself out. I don't care. Like it's just it is what it is." But I start looking at the little, they have them all displayed on everything, and so they got like orange scones, they got cinnamon rolls, they got brownies, they got cookies. They have your favorite chocolate croissants. They had it all. And I looked at Megan. I said, "Oh, you got to get one of these orange scones." And she goes, "Oh, I already ordered some." I said, "Perfect." So I had one of those whenever we got back, and then we had staff meeting. And I'm still kind of feeling a little excited, And I started asking, I'm like, "What's left over there that needs to get eaten?" So Will goes, "I'll go halvesies on you with the cinnamon roll." So Will tries to split it down the middle. He doesn't. He gets like maybe a quarter of it and then gives me the other 75% of the cinnamon roll. And these things are big. I mean, it's not like a canned cinnamon roll. These things looks like a jumbo honey bun, that you unwrap, whatever. So I eat that. I look down at Cheryl. Cheryl can't finish her brownie, so I eat that brownie. And I'm just miserable.
And you had chips.
Yeah, and chips. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the last time I ate sweets like that. I don't think I could do a brownie, a scone, and a cinnamon roll. I ate the chocolate croissant. It was more than enough.
That's my problem.
I'm trying this is the second Celsius I've tried. The first one I tried whenever I was going, to the beach last year. Because when you go south, for whatever reason, we have a hard time finding our energy drinks. Megan and I drink Alani Nu. We have a hard time finding these anywhere. So last year we were driving south, could not find Alani Nu. So we had heard about Celsius, and we grabbed one. The one I had last year was terrible. It was awful.
What flavor is that one?
This one Anna gave to me is sparkling strawberry watermelon. And that first sip when it was really, really cold was delicious. And upon further review, this is also terrible. So I think the difference, and I get it, you if you want something healthy, it's not going to taste like unhealthy stuff. Alani Nu, Megan and I actually just realized this. We never really paid attention. It only has 10 calories in it, but it does have 4 carbs from some sort of sweetener that makes the drink not suck.
Yeah.
This is 0 carbs, and that's why this drink sucks. When it was really, really, really cold, it fooled me into being good.
Yeah.
But you can tell how good something is whenever it starts to get lukewarm, because I drink these very slow so I don't have a heart attack.
Yeah.
But like Alani Nu, I could drink it once it's warm, like because it's actually good. This is terrible.
Bro, you're going to have to dust off Old Faithful and get like a black label, green logo Monster, or get a Red Bull.
I can't drink. Listen, the original Monster, I am head over heels.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, the original. The black with the green label.
I can't. Because they're literally, I started drinking them one year. This was all the way back when I was in youth ministry.
Yeah.
One of the speaker one year was a Monster fanatic and had a whole bunch of them with him. He was a friend of mine, so I tried my first one that week. Mm-hmm. Oh, buddy, it set me down a path.
Dude, they're so delicious.
And next thing I knew, I was starting to have like heart palpitations and all sorts of problems. Like I'd get about halfway through a can and be like, this does not make me feel good at all. It tastes delicious. It's the best tasting energy drink.
Yeah.
And then I went through a spell where I was drinking that Bang Energy, which is all zeros as well. And it tasted, some of the flavors were good. Same thing with it. It was making me freak out. Like I am having a heart attack any moment now.
Now, like with all the energy drinks, have you paced like drinking it like you do with your Alani?
Yeah.
Because you sip on that thing till 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, some days my Alani Nu will be 3 hours. Like I'll pop it open right on my way up here. Some days at like 8:30, and I'll still be drinking it at like 11:30.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
I take my time with it, but yeah, I don't know if I always paced it. Now, but the Alani Nu, I could also like literally take it down. Like when we were at the beach last year. Megan found this flavor of Alani Nu at one of the gas stations. Once we finally got down there, we finally found some Alani Nu. She found this like cucumber guava, which is like, bro, that's how you know you're at the beach, when you're drinking cucumber guava drinks. And so I took one of those, cucumber guava or whatever.
Wait a second. You drank something that was vegetable flavored?
Yeah. I took it to the pool with us one
Dang,
day. And
Scott.
it was like... It felt like you were just drinking a tropical drink at the pool, so I pounded that thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't bother me. The Alani Nus do not have that effect on me whatsoever. This Celsius is not having that effect on me whatsoever. But if I took even half a can of that original Monster, I would probably have to go to CAMC.
Dude, that's my problem. That is my problem. I will drink those. This is why I don't drink energy drinks. This is why I don't drink coffee. Couple episodes ago, y'all saw me drinking something out of a hot cup. That was hot chocolate. Yeah. That was it. Because I latch onto something and then I just kill it. So with like original Red Bull, I can do it. I love the flavor of it. Same thing with the original Monster, black with the green label. So stinking good. And so I had a sugar.
I've never really got into Red Bull.
Yeah.
It used to be like, but my BC days, I would drink like, what are they called? Jaeger bombs or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the only time I ever had Red Bull. I never drank it as an energy drink.
Yeah.
But when I was going to Los Angeles last month with Bob, I was in the airport. It was early. Of course, the airport only had Celsius. And my one experience with Celsius I didn't like, so I was like, I'm not going down that path.
Yeah.
So I was sitting at this like, there was actually like a bar in the area where the terminals are at, like not like restaurant area, but like actually like A21, A22, like right there in the. I've never seen one like this. There's this little bar, and it's literally, we were down in Charlotte. It's 6:30 in the morning, so I'm sitting at this bar, and I'm like, man, they don't have the Alani Nu. So I got a sugar-free Red Bull. And I was like, oh, these actually taste great.
Oh, yeah. They're fantastic.
These taste, those I did like that. I still don't like it as much as the Alani.
Yeah.
I'll probably drink more Celsius. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Now they got the different flavor Red Bulls too. They have like the watermelon.
Yeah, a
and
lot of
green
those
apple and
have
stuff.
a lot of, like, I try to drink the 0 sugar, 0 calorie, or at least as close to, but like
Zeros,
the
you can
yellow and the blue Red Bulls and stuff have like 180 calories in them.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I try to stay away from stuff like that. Like today, I had my Alani this morning.
Yeah.
I had coffee because this is our third podcast of the day.
Yeah.
I had coffee during one of those podcasts. I had Diet Pepsi at lunch, and now I'm drinking a Celsius. So I've had caffeine since I woke up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I was reading, this is wild. I was reading or listening to something a couple days ago, and it was on the internet, so it could be completely false. You know what I'm saying?
Abraham Lincoln said it.
It was people that either have ADHD or people that have anxiety. Is one of the two. When they drink caffeine, it actually has the opposite effect on them.
Yeah, you fall asleep.
Yeah, it makes me fall asleep. So is it ADHD?
I don't know.
It's one of those two. And I was like, well, whatever it was, I have that. Because when I drink caffeine, it doesn't really have a profound effect on me. I'm kind of docile. Like I say docile, other than the fact I'm intense about everything.
Yeah.
Like, people tell me all the time when I say stuff, how it came off, and I'll be like, oh gosh, I didn't. That's half my issue with coaching. Is like I'm never really like never mean to be mean to a kid or like too like over the top about anything, but it's the way that I'm so intense, like for good or for bad. I'm so like there's no middle ground for me.
Yeah.
But like, even though I'm intense in those ways, I am pretty like this all the time. Like, I could drink 3 of these, and I'm probably still going to be about the same temperament, energy level wise.
Yeah, I think it's just more of head fog. Like, you drink those to clear head fog.
Yeah, exactly. Because I am very sharp right now. Like, I'm ready to talk.
You should be.
Yeah, I am. I've been reading this little can ever since Anna gave it to me. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Or maybe, I don't know if it's good. I actually don't know anything about anything. But I do know it's non-GMO. It's gluten-free. No high fructose corn syrup. I know that's good. No aspartame. But I had aspartame for lunch. No artificial flavors. Proven in 6 published university studies. Let's see. How does it work? Celsius proprietary Meta Plus formula includes green tea with EGCG, ginger and guarana seed, turns on thermogenesis. So that's good for my metabolism.
Yep.
A process that boosts your body's metabolic rate. Prior to fitness activities, it helps energize, accelerate, and metabolize and burn body fat and calories. Maybe I should drink this instead of Alani. Provides essential energy to live fit.
One of the things I hate about that kind of marketing, though, is that it says that it's gluten-free.
Yeah, of course it is, because there's no pasta in it.
There's no flour that has been kneaded, and
yeah, that's what I love. It's like, you mean you didn't put noodles in this? Why didn't you put noodles in the Celsius?
Some Celsius noodle soup.
I'd like to put this can up against Alani Nu and see if Alani has all this stuff and they're just not bragging about it.
I don't know. If you've got it, you got to brag about it, right?
Yeah, because, if there's thermogenesis going on, I need to drink more of these.
That's like winning like 3 gold medals at the Olympics and then getting around your friends and not bringing it up. Like, dude, I would want to tell everybody, well, this one time whenever I was playing curling in the Olympics and I got a gold medal.
I like to drink these for a week.
That's how I would start off like every conversation.
I want to drink these for like a week and see if I see any noticeable changes in myself. As far as, like, I wonder if they are made up differently.
What if you start growing hair?
I won't be happy about it. I don't want my hair to grow back. In fact, I want it to stop growing altogether.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but what if it came back and it was like Fabio's hair?
No, I don't want to mess with hair.
And they're like, Scott, we want you to be the new spokesperson for I Can't Believe It's Not Butter.
No, remember I told you I was looking at that Dr. Squatch stuff?
Yeah.
And I had to make my own combo because all of it comes with shampoo.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to mess with shampoo ever again in my life. Because there's like pills and stuff that you can take if you want your hair back and all that. Or like, I don't want my hair back. I want less hair than I have now.
What if it's like the best hair though?
No. I love being bald. God gave me a really nice looking bald head, and I like it.
Huh.
I don't have. You ever seen people that are bald, but they got like alien heads?
Oh,
I don't have one of those. I've got
No.
a nice looking bald head.
Yeah.
And so I like it. I would if I had to start washing
Yeah,
my
it's
hair
not
again.
it's not wrinkly, and you don't
No.
have like the pack of hot dogs and stuff like
No.
that.
If
Like
I
I've
had
seen
to start
people that
washing
have
my
like a
hair
bald head
again-
and it looks like a Shar-Pei, like that.
Yeah,
You know them
it's not
wrinkly
good.
dogs. No.
Yeah, I if I don't ever want to have to wash my hair again in my life ever. That's my goal. I know that you can get rid of hair permanently, like with like laser or something. I don't have, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I do hope it slows down the older I get, because like I didn't get to shave this past weekend because I normally shave before church on Sundays.
Yeah.
I didn't shave my head, and then I just haven't done it this week.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have like 2 weeks worth of hair to shave off before I preach Sunday.
Yeah.
I do it in the shower. It's gonna look like a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
In there, because this is like my hair that still grows around this area is thick.
Yeah.
My hair's always been thick. So the stuff that grows is like really, really thick. I'm gonna destroy a whole razor in one time.
You know what you should do, and maybe I'll ask you this off camera. But you've got some time coming up. You should just grow it out and just see what happens the whole time.
No, I hate it. I could grow my hair back.
I want to.
No.
I want to just see it, dude.
No, because it.
What if I said I'll buy you some shoes?
No.
What?
And I love shoes, but no, because I did it one time, and this is everybody knows this. Anytime that you're trying to do anything, there's always an awkward middle phase.
Yeah.
This is like incredibly awkward to go through, because I've given my dad a hard time my whole life about, like, bro, you just rocked the horseshoe your whole life. Just shave it off, dude. And I have the same hair as him. So, like, I would have the horseshoe here. This stuff will grow back up here.
It's real thin.
It's real thin, but it will take forever.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have, like, a real, like, bushy horseshoe going around here. And it's going to be real spotty up here for a long... That middle time would be so awkward. I would not be able to go out in public. I would not be able to look at myself in the mirror. So I can't do it.
I think you should, because it'll set you up for like the perfect Halloween costume, to where you could be Doc from the Back to the Future.
No, I can't do it.
And then you can walk into staff meeting and just be like, "Great Scott!" No?
The bottom of that can was terrible. So, no, I have no desire to have my hair back at all. None. All right, well, I don't know how we're going to transition from that to, we're talking about prayer today.
Yeah, we're picking up our conversation in Habakkuk. We always try to find like clever ways to like transition into what we're talking about, but being full of food, and Scott's on more caffeine than he.
Yeah, I can take this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk if you're ready to just listen.
I'll sit back and just.
I'm going to put this like this towards the camera. That way, if Celsius sees this, we're trying to get a brand deal.
Yeah.
And I will drink that nasty stuff every day for a brand deal. Sign me up, bro.
They ain't gonna sign you up whenever you just badmouth the flavor.
Hey, but still, if it works, it works. I don't think it tastes good.
Yeah.
I do not at all. But for a brand deal, it's delicious. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this podcast, all 25 of y'all that listen, let's get this thing monetized.
All righty.
All right, that's what we're praying for.
Yep. So starting from the top, Habakkuk's got some questions for God. God responds to them. It's not quite the response that Habakkuk wants. And so it's kind of like this back and forth between this guy and God. And now we're getting to the point to where
this is my wrap up.
This is the wrap up. This is
sermon number 1's the wrap up is where we're at.
Yeah, chapter 1.
Because when we finished last week, we were talking about how the word Habakkuk actually means to wrestle.
Yeah.
And how now Habakkuk is in a place where he has to wrestle with God's answer. And so the next note that I have here, this is how I wrapped up the original sermon on this was, okay, here's Habakkuk's complaint. Here's God's response. Here's Habakkuk's second response of him having all these questions about, wow, God, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so then the question naturally just turned to, what can we actually learn about how to handle times when nothing makes sense? What can we actually learn in those times? And this is what it kind of whittles down to, is that when nothing makes sense, the only thing that makes sense is to go to God in prayer.
Yeah.
Now, and this is what Habakkuk has done in this whole first chapter that makes perfect sense. That if things aren't good in your life, like they weren't good in Habakkuk's, they're not good with his people, with his country, with his kinsmen, whatever it is, they weren't good, so he went to God in prayer. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the most underutilized, and I say this personally, underutilized weapons and tools in the arsenal of a Christian.
Yeah.
We are so underprayed. And again, I do not say this from a place like, man, I got this thing figured out. I'm terrible about this. I'm terrible about trying to do stuff on my own, of neglecting my prayer life. But I'm going to tell you right now, when nothing makes sense, the only thing that does make sense is to go to God in prayer. Because if he is the one that is sovereign, as we've talked about in this series, if he's the one with eternal knowledge, if he's the one that's always has been, always will be, if his ways are not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts, then it only makes sense that we go to him.
Well, and the funny thing is like you see this response from Habakkuk to where he does, ask God some questions. Yes, he is going to him in prayer, but he gets the first response from God that he gets. It's like, well, all right, well, I'm going to lay this out for you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise up the Babylonians. And what they're going to do is they're going to be a pain in your rear end. And they're going to just do more evil than you've ever imagined. Yep. And anytime that you've ever gotten bad news from somebody, you're like, I ain't ever talking to that person ever again. Mm-hmm. Why would I talk to them if all they got to do is gonna tell me all this negative stuff? I'm gonna go somewhere else and try to find what I'm trying to look for. But what Habakkuk does is he leans in on this discipline of his, even whenever God's given him the answer and it doesn't make sense and it's not what he wants to hear. He's just like, no, I'm doubling down and I'm talking to you. This is what I'm doing.
Here's the picture that I feel like God just gave me. Is you're probably new to this since you've only been in West Virginia for 4 years, but do you know what you're supposed to do when you hit ice when you're driving?
Let go.
No,
I don't know.
You do not know. All right, so here's the
I know you get your foot off the gas and just try to keep it straight.
Here's the natural inclination. What would you naturally do if you hit a patch of ice?
Like if I'm driving or if I'm walking?
If you're driving and you hit ice and it starts to send you, let's say, to the right.
You turn the opposite direction.
Yeah, what happens is a lot of times we want to, as soon as we hit that thing, we start to skid, we want to try to take it in the opposite direction.
Yeah, actually, and they slam the brakes.
Yeah, what they actually tell you to do is to steer into the slide. That's actually the thing that will level you out, right? So with what you're sitting here talking about, when Habakkuk got an answer that he did not like, that he did not understand, he steered right into the slide. Instead of steering away from God, he slid right into it so the way God could bring balance and equilibrium back to him by going, okay, so I'm not going to hide from you. I'm not going to run from you. I'm actually going to run right into you because you are the one with the answers. You are the one that can actually help me in this situation. And we talked last week that God is not bothered by our doubts and our prayers or our doubts and our questions. And it's through prayer that we really wrestle with those things. where we can go, God, I don't really understand why this is happening. I don't know why you're behaving like this, why you're choosing this, why you're letting this happen, why you haven't stepped in. It's in prayer that we actually sit there and do that. And the amazing thing is that God is not offended whatsoever by your questions. He is not offended whatsoever by your doubts, your worries, your disagreements with his plans. He is not whatsoever bothered by that. Because I think I talked about it a little bit on the previous episode. Like, too many Christians have this idea like, oh, don't you dare question God. Don't you dare question God. And it's like, no, I don't really think that's how our Father in heaven really is. I know, like, as an imperfect earthly father, it bothers me for my kid to question me, but that's the imperfection in me.
I think sometimes we look at it as, just because you and I are both dads, and we look at it as almost kind of like a my way or the highway type of scenario. Yeah. And then we look at it as defiant behavior. We look at it as backtalk and very disrespectful. Yeah. But I think that but at the same time, whenever your kids come up and they're asking you, and you know that they're genuine and they want to know something and they want to know the explanation on something, then your whole demeanor is completely different. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Completely different. So, and I think that's,
like, it can still be confusing.
Yeah, I think that this is because God's a better dad than both of us.
Yeah.
That where questions might irritate us because we're worried about. So let me get to the bottom of this. The reason why when our kids question us, it bothers us is because we know that we are fallible and that we are imperfect. And so there is a possibility that we got something wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's when someone questions us, our pride rises up because we know there's always the chance that we did something wrong. And as men and as fathers, that would hurt our pride.
Yeah.
See, God is not bothered by questions and doubts because he's never in that situation. He never has to second guess whether or not he's made a mistake or not. He never has to second guess if he's done something wrong. Oh my gosh, did I give the wrong answer? Did I mess this up? Did I send us in the wrong direction? God never has to wrestle with insecurity the way that we do. Yeah. So that's why questions and doubts don't bother him, but yet they bother us.
Yeah.
That's the difference between God, who is a perfect father, and the two of us who are probably good fathers, but still very imperfect and insecure in a lot of ways. That's why our kids push back against us. And we're like, really? You want to push back on me? How about I put my hand upside your head? Whereas this is not the way that God operates whatsoever. And that's beautiful. And my favorite example, I held off from mentioning this in the last podcast so I could mention it here, is, and I mention this all the time, actually. I've got a devotion coming out this fall in our journey through John on this very thing. But there's a guy in the New Testament named Thomas. What's Thomas's nickname? Doubting Thomas. Everybody calls this guy Doubting Thomas. And it's occurred to me over the last 6 or 7 years, and I go, that's not the right name. Because we say Doubting Thomas as a way of belittling him for the fact that he wanted some evidence as to what they said was true. Right? Because Thomas wasn't there the first time that the risen Christ shows up on the scene. The guys come home, they tell him, hey, Jesus is alive.
Yeah.
Now, what person in Thomas's shoes would just go, oh, yeah, he's alive, man, without seeing it?
Well, you got to think, like, what was the average age of all these disciples, too?
Yeah, I mean, well, all over
and you
the
get
place.
12 of you get 12 of them together. You get 12 dudes from anywhere, whatever age group, and get together. I guarantee you, and have them live together for 3 years, there's going to be pranks pulled. Yeah. So you're probably thinking that they're pulling another prank.
Well, just think about Jesus the response, though. He goes, no, until I see it with my own eyes and I can put my hands in the wounds, I will not believe it.
Yeah.
And my whole point is, if you want to know how God feels about your doubts and questions, just watch how Jesus responds to Thomas. Thomas is not doubting. Thomas is simply asking for evidence.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you a doubter just because you require evidence. That makes you a realist or a rationalist. It makes you a normal person. To like, if you tried to come in here and tell me right now that there was Bigfoot was out in front of the church, I'm not a doubting Scott just because I go, well, let's go see. That just makes me a rational human being. And I get it. Some people are not wired that way. that they can just take everything on faith, and that's fine. This is not to belittle you whatsoever. If that's the way that God made you, praise God for that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what Jesus even said in regards to when John the Baptist's disciples came to him. He says, blessed are those who believe without ever seeing. Yeah, sure. But then we take a verse like that, blessed are those who believe without seeing, and go, well, that should be everyone's experience. That's not everyone's experience. That's only some people's, because everyone's wired differently. And Thomas was not that type of person. Does that mean Thomas wasn't blessed? No, because when the risen Christ decided to show up to Thomas, first off, he knew that Thomas had gone, I'm not going to believe this till I see it and touch it. I'll tell you that much. Jesus already knew that. He wasn't ignorant of that fact whatsoever. So when he shows up, if God had an issue with your questions and your doubts and your need for evidence or anything like that, here's what would have happened. The risen Christ would have shown up and said, Thomas, how dare you, you little punk. You dare doubt me. I told you 3 times this was going to happen. How could you possibly behave like, nope, that's not what happens at all. The risen Christ shows up and says, Thomas, look, here's my hands. Here's my feet. Here's my side. You want to touch it? Here. Like, he didn't reprimand him. He didn't shame him, didn't wag his finger in his face. Why has the church not done a better job of handling questions and doubts and things with people when this is the evidence that we see from Jesus, that he goes, yeah, man, if you need evidence, I've got evidence. If you can just take stuff without seeing it and believe it, praise God for you too. I made everyone different.
Yeah.
Made everyone different. There are some people that until... like their decision to follow Jesus came very rationally to them, where they start examining the evidence of the Christian faith and they go, you know what? This is true. And then the truth of what they have investigated captures them and changes them.
Yeah.
There are other people, they were sitting in a church service and were overwhelmed emotionally. They had an experience without seeing anything. They just had an emotional experience. Perhaps the Holy Spirit, perhaps not. Maybe it was just a good song.
Yeah.
Either way, they had an experience that was undeniable to them personally that changed them. Neither one of those two people are better than the other in the kingdom of God.
No.
It just has to do with the way that God wired people. I wish the church would handle this. So that's why I'm telling you, God is not offended by your questions, your doubts, your worries, or your disagreement with his plans. He's not offended by that. But listen, here's the truth when it comes to prayer, and this was the bottom line of this sermon, was that the reason why we have to go to God in prayer in times where nothing makes sense is because prayer is what develops trust. Communication is what develops trust. It always does that. Communication always leads to differing levels of trust, right?
Yeah.
The more me and you talk as friends, as co-workers, as brothers in Christ, the level of trust between the two of us deepens based on that level of conversation. And again, this can be for good or bad. As our level of communication increases, if you find out stuff about me or I find out stuff about you that bothers me, the level of trust will be negatively affected.
Yeah.
But as we grow closer in relationship through communication, it can also be positively impacted. So communication with God is that thing that changes your trust, because it's that talking. It's like in a relationship. How does someone decide to spend the rest of their life with someone in marriage, in a relationship?
By spending time together.
You have to spend time together, because if not, you're marrying a stranger. And it's the same principle when it comes to God. How in the world can we be in relationship with God and never spend time with him?
So you're not in a relationship.
Exactly. You might have prayed a prayer. You might have raised your hand. You might have started attending church. But if you are not spending time with God, you are not in a relationship with him. And the essence of the call of Jesus was not, please raise your hand at the end of service whenever you were 8 years old. It was, come and follow me. It was, come and do life with me. Come and get to know me, and I will get to know you. Like it was always a relationship. That's what it's always been about.
No, just think about, like, okay, so whenever you and Megan first got together and y'all were talking and getting to know each other, in a perfect world, your situation may have been different because this was your BC days, your before Christ.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that this is the way that it would have played out. or maybe I'll tell you how it played out for me. So whenever Erica and I started dating, whenever we first met, I got on Facebook and I searched her out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna send her friends request. As soon as she accepts, what do? Is I go through like all of her feed. I've got her number. I want to talk to her. I want to get to know her and everything else like that. And because I wanted to make sure that first off, this lady wasn't a complete psycho.
Exactly.
And that I wasn't get murdered, and see, you get to know somebody.
Yeah.
And because I did want to spend time with her, and the more that I got to know her, the more that I wanted to spend time with her. It's just the same way with my relationship with Jesus. I had this moment in a church where I felt his presence, and I felt the weight of everything that I was carrying just begin to be lifted off of my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, wow, look at what Jesus did for me. Like, this is crazy. And so even though I grew up in church, I didn't know who Jesus was. I knew the stories of the Bible, but I didn't know who Jesus was. And so I began to spend time with him. I began to read his Bible. I began to pray more. And I wanted to know more of who this Jesus was.
Yeah.
It's just like any other relationship.
Every relationship. If you want,
the more I got to know Jesus, I found myself falling in love with my Savior.
Yes.
Was there an infatuation stage at the beginning? Yes, because I felt great. You can't say that it was just love at first sight. I knew that that it was true and real and everything else about that. But the more and more that I spent time with Jesus, the more and more that I was falling in love with my Savior and my Creator and my King. And now I know that this relationship is something that will never, ever, it will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
There's nothing that will be able to get in the way of it because I have spent so much time talking and allowing him to talk back.
Yeah. This is true of every relationship. Like, how about, I was just sitting here thinking about this because this is probably something I could do a better job of. If you want to develop trust in your kids, one of the best ways to develop trust in your kids is to actually talk to them.
Yep.
Because you may have assumptions about the things that they know or the things that they think, and therefore, based on the assumptions that you have about them, you have a lack of trust for them. But if you talk to them and found out, wow, they actually know a lot more about the world than I'm giving them credit for.
Yep.
They're actually a lot more, they're smarter than what I thought. They're more developed mentally than what I thought. They've actually seen and heard some things that I didn't know that they had seen and heard, and they've dealt with some stuff. Now, through conversation with your kids, you can actually develop the trust that you've been trying to beat out of them through discipline. Mm-hmm. But through conversation, you could actually gain a level of trust by getting to know them and going, oh, wow, for 10 years old, that kid's a lot smarter than I give him credit for. So now I can trust him with a little bit more. That girl's a little smarter than what I anticipated. Has a little bit more thought going on at 9 years old, so she can be trusted with more. Conversation always leads to trust in every, and that's either it's either for the better or for the worse, but it always affects trust. And so, if we don't know God, then we may be scared to bring our doubts and fears and questions to Him. But when we come to know Him as Father, then that's a totally different situation. And unfortunately, the truth is, when it comes to prayer, is that it is normally our last resort. Nothing else is word, so now we'll try to pray. Because it was like, what if I was wondering who was going to pick my kids up from school one day? And I know that Megan is the one that handles that. But I decided to call every one of my family members other than Megan to find out who's picking my kids up from school one day. And then I've called every grandparent. I've called every aunt, every uncle. I've called the school. I've called the bus driver, everyone. But I haven't called Megan. She's my last call. Hey, who's picking up the kids? If I knew she was the one that had the answer, but I didn't want to go to her because I didn't want her to know that I wasn't listening when she told me, right? Like whatever it was, I went to her last knowing that she's the one with the answers. And this is how we treat God. We know he's the one with the answers, but we'll go to Google and we'll go to WebMD and we'll go to our best friend. We'll go to our husband. We'll go to some stranger. We'll go to Facebook.
Yeah.
And then when all else fails, it's like, okay, well, then I guess I'll pray about it.
Yeah, should have just gone to the source.
Should have just went there the first time, saved yourself a lot of time, a lot of heartache, and a lot of pain. And so when we talk about prayer, I want to make a point, though, that I think will help, because so many people feel so overwhelmed by prayer because they don't really understand the purpose of it. Because you'll have some people that think, well, prayer, that's how I get God to do stuff my way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the purpose of prayer. There's other people that think, well, God's going to do stuff his way no matter what, so then what's the purpose of prayer? Here's the purpose of prayer. Prayer does not fix our problems. Prayer prepares us to deal with the problems.
That's good.
Prayer does not change God. It's okay to petition God for things. God wants you to do that. But my prayer is not changing the divine will. It's changing me. It's making me the type of person that can be trusted with whatever the answer is.
Yeah.
Because the more that I talk to God, the more trust I have, then all of a sudden, the answer to my petition or my request becomes secondary because I've now developed a trust in God to, maybe I'm worried about a situation with my job. And I'm praying about my job and I'm going, well, if I lose my job, then what if we lose the house and we lose the car and we don't have money to feed our kids and on and on and on and on, and I'm just freaking out about my job.
Mm-hmm.
I go in prayer and I realize that the God that I am praying to is capable of helping me thrive in my current job to where I don't lose it. He's also capable of holding my family close if the worst were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that through prayer. And then all of a sudden, it does not matter how that situation goes because now I've been developed to deal with whatever comes my way. Again, it's like you get a bad diagnosis at the doctor. God, please heal me. In prayer, I realize that he is the God that heals, but he is also the God that comforts whenever healing is not the right answer.
Yeah.
And I come to trust that God no matter what the answer is. That's the purpose of prayer. It's not to get my will done in heaven, but rather to get heaven's will done on earth. That's the purpose of prayer.
Yeah.
Because we're not really in the business of trying to change God. God is in the business of trying to change us.
Yeah.
That's what we need more than anything. And so, to wrap up this whole first chapter of Habakkuk, if you don't know what to do in a situation, you're facing a world that seems incredibly violent and cruel and difficult and seems like battle after battle after battle keeps coming your way and you don't know what to do when nothing makes sense, what is it that you should do? You have to develop a prayer life.
Yep.
You have to develop a prayer life. And I'm going to give you a resource. And I was hesitant to do this because I'm only 3 days into it. But like it's having a profound impact on me in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered the Bless God prayer journal from Ruslan KD. He's a Christian YouTuber.
I keep on seeing the ads for that on my stinking social media feeds.
And I ordered the Bible or the prayer journal, and it's 2 pages every day, and you put the date on it, and then the first tab is just opening up with Thanksgiving. Just like, what are the things that you're thankful for? And it's got a little box. You can either write sentences or you can just bullet point it. And you're just sitting there talking to God about what you're thankful for. And then the next box is prayer concerns for other people, not yourself. So then you sit there and go, okay, I'm praying for this person, this person, this person. The third box is your own personal prayers. Who am I praying for? Or what do I need prayer for myself?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like Thanksgiving, there's intercessory prayer for others, and then there's a personal prayer for myself. And then the next one, this one kind of blew me away when I saw it. It's a memory verse. So like right in the middle, like I used to have this idea of my time with the Lord, it needs to just be like real, like formal. Like if I'm praying, I'm praying. It's like, no, not really. So the first day that I had it, I was like, memory verse. I don't really have a plan for that. So I decided I'm going to learn, the first thing I'm going to learn is the Beatitudes. So I went to Matthew chapter 5, starting in verse 3, and I just write that. And I sit there for 5 minutes, just meditating, trying to memorize this memory verse, right? And so I'm now on my third day, so I'm on to my second, because it took me like 2 days to memorize the first one. And I still don't have it perfectly, but so I'm doing that. Then the bottom, this one is really neat. It goes, what do I want to accomplish today? So it's making you think about the things that you need to be productive about and not separating that from your prayer life.
Yeah.
Because your work is worship. Your work matters to God.
Yeah.
And so for me, like one day this week, it was like, I've got to write a sermon, so I'm going to put that on there. And then once I know that that's on there, that's what I have to accomplish for the day. Then, because I'm also in a time of prayer, I'm asking God, will you energize me? Will you give me ideas? Will you help me get this thing done that's on my list?
Yeah.
So I'm not just like, it's not just like a sterile to-do list. It's now something that I'm bathing in prayer. So now I'm asking the power of God to come behind my to-do list. That's drastically different.
Yeah.
The next page, you have, what did I learn in the scriptures today? Which inherently makes you go and read the Bible.
Yeah, you can't make something up.
You can't just make something up. So then I go and I find what I'm reading in the Bible. So I read the Bible, and then I'm writing a paragraph but I'm writing it. I've decided to do that section as a prayer. Like write it as a prayer of what I'm learning in the scriptures.
Yeah.
And then the bottom is just a general, it's for notes. You can either put answered prayer requests there, or you can just write out just one final prayer to God. And I've decided to use that for one final prayer to God.
Yeah.
And so I'm like moving through all these and realizing I'm spending probably double, maybe one day triple the amount of time in prayer just following this little thing, and the amount of things that I'm praying for and the closeness to God that I feel. It's a really valuable tool. So if you are interested in that, I think it's the Bless God Shop. His name is Ruslan.
Ruslan KD.
Ruslan KD. You can find his YouTube channel, which will have the link to his shop.
Yeah,
but
I'll probably put the link in the show notes.
Okay. Yeah, this little prayer guide journal is really, I'm only 3 days into it, but it has had a profound effect on me up to this point, and I'm very thankful for it. So my advice to you, my challenge to you is whatever your prayer life currently looks like, I know that it could be better. That's true, because that's true of all of us.
That's one of the things like I've started doing, and it's funny that you said that you started it this week. And one of the things I started this week was I found myself just always asking God, my friend's sick, I need some wisdom for this part of my job and whatever. And God was like, he just very, like, I don't know, it's just something that just popped in my heart. It wasn't like, you need to do this, but it was, I just need to thank him. And I'm finding that the more that I'm thanking him for all the stuff that I have been given and that I've been blessed with, I have less to complain about.
Yep.
I have less that I'm concerned about, because I'm finding that I'm extremely content with where I'm at.
Yeah.
And what he's given me. Like, I don't need any more.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yeah, thankfulness has always led to contentment.
Yeah.
This is why if you go to Philippians 4, just watch the flow of that whole chapter. This is a chapter that most Christians and most pastors butcher, because we just too many bad Bible teachers and Bible understanders out there. Go and look at Philippians chapter 4 and see how thankfulness starts that chapter, and thinking about the right things, and then everyone's favorite verse, Philippians 4:13, is actually about contentment.
Yeah.
And so the whole chapter flows from that thankfulness, thinking about the right stuff, can ultimately lead to contentment. That's Philippians 4. That's how that chapter actually goes. It actually has nothing to do with you being able to fly or do anything that you want to do.
I can get in a fight with Mike Tyson
and
knock him out.
Yeah, I can win a football game because of Philippians 4. No, you can't. I'm going to tell you right now. My little baseball team this weekend, we played in Ohio, and on Saturday we played horribly, just terrible.
Yeah.
As bad as you could possibly play. So it was a big tournament. It was 16 teams in our age group. So on Sunday, normally is the actual tournament. Saturday is just pool play. Sunday is the tournament. So we got put in the silver bracket, which is where all the teams that just had a bad day were.
Yeah.
Last time we were in this tournament, we won the gold bracket. That's how good my team is.
Yeah.
But they played so bad. It was like, what is happening right now? This team has won 2 tournaments, got second place in another tournament. Like, they're a really good team. So we had a really bad day.
Yeah.
And we are stuck in this silver bracket with just, I mean, we didn't play a close game all day on Sunday. Our kids came back ready to play ball, and we beat the brakes off of every single team we saw on Sunday. Like,
yeah.
It was like 13-6, 12-1, 18-0 in the championship of this silver bracket.
Yeah.
And one of those teams could have been over there telling those kids Philippians 4:13, and it would not have been true for them. I'm just telling you right now, like, that team that we played in the championship that lost 18-0, their coaches very well could have that tattooed on them and go, "We can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," except for you couldn't beat us, because that's not what that passage is actually about.
Yeah.
So that was just a way to brag on my baseball team, but also to stop using Philippians 4:13 as your, we can do anything that no, you can't. You actually cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't fly through Christ who strengthens me.
No, that's just like going out and getting drunk and then getting pulled over for driving around, and you telling the cop, "I'm not going to jail because God's giving me strength right now, and I can do this. I could do all things, like get back into my car and go back home." He's like,
it's like,
you can also get tased.
Yeah. Philippians 4:13 is about contentment, and if you learn to read it that way, then you'll stop sounding foolish whenever you use that for your own selfish purposes.
Yeah.
To try to excuse any and everything that you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
All right, mystery meat. Here we go. We're about to wrap up a full day of podcasts.
I know. I'm exhausted mentally.
I feel great right now.
Well, I can't do that one. We actually just answered that question.
Did you put it back in there?
I did.
Wow.
Whenever we come across it, it was a question about prayer.
Oh.
It was one of those things.
You mean we answered it in the episode?
We answered the question. It was a question on prayer.
Are you sure mine are still in there?
I haven't touched anything.
Oh, that's a handwritten one. This is an Anna one. Oh my gosh, I saw her handwriting.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Oh Lord.
Mystery meat time. What is one thing you wish you were better at?
Just one thing?
I don't know. Just whatever pops into your head that you wish you were better at.
I really wish I could sing. Because I'm gonna tell you,
that was gonna be my answer too.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I wish I could sing, because I am fully committed to singing my whole life, and I don't care how bad I am.
Yeah.
But I just wish that I was good, since I sing so much. Last night, because I got hurt at the softball game, I went home and got in the hot tub.
Yeah.
And Megan was getting in the hot tub, and right as soon as she was getting in, she got an offer for a house that her buyer wanted, so she had to write an offer.
Oh, yeah.
So she went and got her iPad, and she was sitting in the hot tub, like, filling out this thing, and like, so she's like working, so I'm trying not to disturb her. When I go out to the hot tub, I put my phone up real loud, and I just got the country music just blaring out in the backyard. While she's writing this offer, dude, I am putting on a show in my backyard. I am just singing. Everything is loud. So because I sing so much, and I know it's going to get really awkward as my kids get older, because when they're in the car, I'm still belting it out.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they're aware yet of how bad of a singer I am. But they're going to be in a few short years. And I wish that I could sing better, because I sing loud when I'm here at church. I sing in my office. I sing when I'm coming down the hallway. I sing whenever I'm walking into the back. I sing everywhere I go, and I suck at singing. So I wish I was good at singing.
I wish I was better at singing. So it says, which one thing you wish you were better at? Obviously, you want to be better singing. I do too. I wish I could do all of those crazy licks that people can do. That, you know, all the fills and the runs and
just anything musical would be fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I wish I could play guitar even as well as you, and I know that you still feel like you're like at the beginning of things. But like, I wish I could play it as well as you, because you can at least lead worship with it.
Yeah.
I can't make my left hand and my right hand do the same thing.
You can't pat your head and scratch your stomach or whatever it is.
It's the same thing with drums. Like, I have all sorts of rhythm with my hands.
You have Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
What?
I have all sorts of rhythm with my hands, but I cannot play drums because I cannot do my hands and my feet simultaneously.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I used to be in show choir. I used to dance with my hands and my feet simultaneously with no issues whatsoever, but could never play drums because I got all kinds of rhythm.
I wish I could tap dance.
I was a heck of a dancer.
Like, I'm pretty bad at it.
Throw that out there. That's a little potluck treat for y'all.
Yeah.
I was a heck of a dancer. I took competition jazz for a little while my senior year, not for school. Like, I went to dance lessons as an 18-year-old boy. Like, I really got into it. I was a very good dancer. I won awards for show choir.
Do you still have them?
I don't know.
Did your mom save them?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story real quick because I know we need to wrap this up. But this is what happens when I'm on my third bit of caffeine. I'm like, I'll just hold story time here on the potluck for you.
No, you're not holding story time. You're holding me hostage. That's what you're doing.
This is one of the most embarrassing things that happened to me, though.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Our choreographer in show choir, her name was Rose.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they did not think this through, but this is an award that was not even a real award. They never gave this out. But they decided to award what was called the Dancing Rose Award, which is a funny name.
Yeah.
Unless you know that the choreographer's name is Rose.
Yeah.
And essentially it was just who danced the best at the competition according to Rose.
Yeah.
And so the show choir at Nitro was very successful. And so they would celebrate it just like they would the sports. So one day, I think this is when I was in 10th or 11th grade, maybe 12th. But I think I was still fairly young. Over the whole PA system.
Yeah, I was about to say they broadcast it.
They broadcast how the show choir did over the weekend, and then they proceed to go, and the Dancing Rose Award goes to Scott Beha, the Dancing Rose. And to this day, my mom still calls me the Dancing Rose.
No way.
Yeah. Just ask my sister. They all still give me a hard time for being the Dancing Rose.
Dude, you know what you should do?
Like, look, I had to dance to Space Cow. You know, NSYNC Space Cowboy.
No.
My sophomore year.
No,
that was our.
I don't know that song. What
our
are you
guys,
talking about, bruh?
What? Well,
you looking at me like I listen to boy bands.
And like, listen, our dancing, we always got dinged for being on the verge of a little bit provocative for high school show choir, like. And we was getting after it on Space Cowboy. I'm telling you, I was a good dancer. I had all kinds of rhythm, but I cannot do anything instrumentally whatsoever to save my life. That was a long way around saying I wish I was better musically. I want to be able to do music because, like, when I go to a funeral, I'd love to be able to sing at a graveside to lengthen it a little bit, but I can't do that. Yeah. I would offend the dead if I started to sing at their gravesides.
Yeah, they wake up and tell you to shut up.
All right, I'm going to let Jared go. I'm signing off for us this time, so he doesn't even have to talk. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Pastor's Potluck. We hope that you have enjoyed Chapter 1 of Habakkuk. We got 2 more full chapters, so maybe, I don't know, 6-8 more weeks the way that we're going right now with this series. Thank you for tuning in. Share this with somebody. If you're on YouTube, share it. If you're on Facebook, share it. Let somebody know about this. We're going to get good, solid Bible teaching really consistently here at the Pastor's Potluck. So let's make sure that we get the word out, get people listening to this. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.
I'm out of a job. I resign. Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. And you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.